What is going on, everybody? This is Coster Games. Welcome to another video. This is 5 more advanced tips for new players starting Call of the Wild. So this video is going to give you 5 more tips, including the 5 tips in my last video. These are some things that a lot of people just don't think about, but once you have them in your brain, once you're thinking about them actively, you're going to find yourself in much better positions in this game. So these tips can be used by advanced players, new players, people who've been playing the game off and on for a couple years. It shouldn't matter. You're going to learn something, hopefully. And with number 1, I want to talk about positioning while you're just moving around. Now, if you look here, I'm on Silver Ridge. I'm kind of sitting in this little rivet in the ground, right? It's not much of a valley. It's just kind of more low ground leading down to that pond. Now, let me show you guys. If we just walk 85 meters up there, the change in your view on this game. Alright. Look at that. This is what I see myself as when I was a new player, and also I've been teaching my girlfriend this game, and I see her do this a lot. She likes to just kind of move around, and like she'd come down here, move down, and new players would, you know, come down, walk all the way to the pond and just start walking around the pond. What you don't see is all of this area up here. You don't see what's up here, and you find yourself kind of missing a lot of things. You might find yourself, you know, in a lot of the trees. Let me get up here and I'll try to explain it. But a lot of people will see an animal and start chasing after them and try to get into some trees and try to find them in the trees. I hate to break it to you, but you're not going to find these animals once they're in the deep forest. It's just not happening. It's too thick. You're not going to be able to get close enough for these animals. Like here, obviously, you can't see much, right? And I understand this isn't a very deep forest, but when you're running through trees like this, like, you may see 15, 20, 30 yards in front of you, but that's really it. Whereas if you come out and you get some distance and you are able to spot them, look, if you're in there with an animal, you're not seeing them. But if you're back up enough, you can see those animals in the forest without you being in there with them. So you're not spooking them further. You can spot them, watch where they're going, and then make a play. Like if there's a buck moving this way, you can start moving up this way to try to cut them off and take a shot. So that's the first tip. Always walk your ridge lines, stay at a higher elevation, use the elevation to your advantage. Well, this is actually one of the biggest Ooh. Ooh. I was worried about the mule deer, but this here. And look at that, guys. He's going down. That's a single lung. Right here. Use your elevation. Use your elevation. I want to show you guys down here before we get to this next tip. Exactly what you'd see if you would have maybe came down here and got through the forest to try to get them. As you can see, you could almost not even see where I shot that mule deer at. Definitely would not have seen the big old elk running across. So use your elevation, guys. It's very simple. If you actively think about it and you're like, hey, I notice I'm on low ground, I notice I can't see much, I'm in the forest, let me get up there and get some distance. You'll find yourself taking much better shots, not spooking as many animals, and getting some more animals on the ground. But number 2 is very useful, and it's tents and other setups, like this tripod. So if I wanted to, I could come put a tripod right here, because now I know, you know, 80 meters away is a rest zone. I see these elk moving around. There's another elk. This is a hot spot. Obviously, it's a drinking zone, but I know that I have a stand over here, right there, and I also have a stand over here. These are the ones in the game, so you can come build these. And this is where I'm hunting right here, here in Silver Ridge. But use your tents. Your tents act as sleeping areas for yourself. You can reset your times. You can use it as a store, as an inventory swap. They are extremely useful. Put them 100 meters out from a place where you want to be. Put your stand there, put whatever you want there. They are extremely handy. Do not forget about them. It's a big old elk. It's my first, what do you call them? Why am I losing it? Non-typical elk. There we go. That's my first non-typical elk I've ever gotten. I'm actually going to taxidermy it. Took a bad shot, hit him in the spine. That kind of sucks, but these ARs, I have noticed, jump up instead of dropping as much as you would think they would. So I'm still kind of getting used to that. So, especially for bow hunters in this game, if you're a new player and you really enjoy bow hunting and that's what you want to do, this is going to be a massive tip for you. Go get yourself a rangefinder, pick up these binoculars right here that have the rangefinder in them. Because this is going to be extremely handy. I see a lot of people, like, let's say these elk, they're like, oh, I want to sneak up on these elk, and they want to get within, you know, 50 to 40 meters of them. And they just lay down and they're going through this grass, and if it's taller grass, you're like, oh, I can't see the elk. Where are they at? And you got to stand up and then potentially scare the animals away, when really, say we're trying to sneak up to the road or something, we see that that's 90 meters away. And we know that this tree is almost 40, so we can cut it down to 50. So if we lay down and we crawl all the way to the tree, we know we're going to be within 50 yards once we hit that tree. So here, we're now at the tree. There's a turkey right there. We now have reached the tree, so we know that the road was 90, this was 40 meters away, so we should be now 50 meters away from the road. The road is just behind those, and there we go, 50 meters. So it's extremely handy if you can find like a rock or something that you're like, okay, that rock is 30 meters from my target, you can crawl straight to that rock. If you check out my wind here, you can see that it's blowing straight towards the elk, so obviously I should have put on some no scent, but it shouldn't matter. Obviously, if you're bow hunting or such, definitely do that. Tip number 4, don't break your zones. A lot of new players just don't understand that you can break your zones. This is the feeding, drinking, and resting zones for animals. Now, as you can see, here are your zones right here. These are what they look like on your map once you have discovered them. Now, when you shoot an animal, wherever that animal is standing, it generates hunting pressure. This is this purple stuff you see. Now, there's ways to lower your hunting pressure per animal killed, but if you're just hunting standing up on the ground with a rifle, it's going to generate a good bit of hunting pressure. As you can see, here are the 2 animals I've shot during this video. This was 2 animals, here's 1. So you can see the difference in or a little bit of difference between the 2 shots. This one's a light, more lower opacity purple, whereas this one's a little bit brighter. And as you can see, the more you shoot, the more brighter it gets. And the more they overlap, the brighter it gets. If this gets extremely bright, it has a chance of breaking your zones. So I would only hunt 3. Yeah, I would really only hunt 3 animals if you're just standing up with your rifle and shooting animals in a zone. I would only hunt 3 in that zone. The ways of lowering this, though, is if you take your rifle and you go get in a blind, a tree stand, a tripod stand, a tower stand, anything like that. Any building or stand that you can get in will lower your hunting pressure caused by a rifle. So when you get in a stand, you may be able to kill 4 to 5 animals within their zone before it breaks. Now, the other way to have almost no hunting pressure, whether you're in a stand or not, is using a bow. But obviously some people just don't hunt with bows, so if you do use a bow, know that your hunting pressure is going to be much, much lower than hunting with a rifle, just as it would be in real life. Number 5 is understanding your shot placement and ammunition. Now, with your ammunition, other than shotguns and arrows, there's not much difference in the rifle rounds. You really only have soft point and polymer tip. So soft point, obviously it's soft. It's when it hits the target, it's going to expand more. It flattens itself out. It loses velocity much quicker after hitting a target. Basically, that means it leaves a bigger hole but doesn't go through the animal as far as a polymer tip would. So, in the game, this causes higher bleeding rates, but you're not going to want to shoot through, let's say, the breastbone of an animal to get a lung. You're going to want to go completely broadside, because that distance from broadside, the outside of the chest, to the lung is much shorter than going through the breastbone to the lung. And the breastbone is a much harder bone. Now, I'm going to find some pictures and put them up here for you guys to understand what I'm kind of talking about here. Polymer tip will travel further through the animal, but it will leave a smaller hole and it won't bleed as much. But you have the chance of double lunging. You have the chance of shooting the heart through a little bit more meat than you would with the soft point or soft tip ammo. So as you can see, understanding your ammunition is very important in this game. Honestly, I only use polymer tips when I have the choice. I just find them to be a lot easier to shoot. I can kind of take some off-angle shots and still get double lungs, still get heart shots. And so that's just what works for me. Soft tip might work for you, or soft point might work for you. It's completely up to you. Now, understanding shot placement is a bit harder to explain, so I'm going to find some more pictures, have them up here for you while I explain it. So, shot placement is completely dependent on your position on the animal. As you can see, there's a couple different shot placements here that we can choose from. Here is the most perfect one when you're looking at hunting. It's right behind the elbow, right there. Even though her elbow is cocked back a little bit, it will still be a lung shot. It's right there in that breadbasket. She is broadside to us. Here we have a quartering towards us, or almost a straight facing animal. That's not really a shot you want to take unless you're a bit closer and you have a higher power weapon to break through that breastbone. And then here is like a quartering shot. As you can see, she's leaning a bit to the right when she moves her head back. So you can kind of still tuck it in behind that elbow and make a decent shot on the lung. So in real life, this is extremely important. It's where I learned it, and I can kind of just bring it to the game. I can bring my real life knowledge to the game. But people who have never been hunting before, never really studied, shot placement on animals before. Here are some pictures that hopefully will help, kind of showing you the different positions you can take shots from. These are quartering shots, aren't recommended. You always want to take a broadside shot when you have the chance, or reposition yourself to take one. Yeah, I hope this really helped you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. If you have some other tips, if you have some questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, leave them in the comments below. If this did help you, leave a like, subscribe. I really hope I can bring you guys some more content like this, and anything you guys can do for me, I really appreciate it. It helps out a bunch starting a new channel like this. So I hope you guys come check out some other videos, and if you haven't seen my last one, go check it out. It's 5 beginner tips, but hey, maybe some more advanced players can learn something there too. So I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video.